Hey, and welcome back to my channel. I am B the Healer, and this is day 2 of 30-day video challenge. But as you may know, that I've skipped several days, and if you can hear it in my voice, I'm actually just getting over COVID. Yeah, the next day, actually, I guess I was already having symptoms when I made the first video, and then the next day, the symptoms really picked up, and then my daughter started to have symptoms, and yeah, it wasn't good. What symptoms did I have? All of the symptoms. I had chills, I had fever, actually, I didn't even check my fever, but I had chills. I definitely had sweats. I, of course, had a lot of mucus, coughing, sore throat, a lot of phlegm coming out. I couldn't taste, I couldn't smell. And then today, I'm the best that I've been, basically. And so, while I did not keep my commitment to myself to post every day for 30 days, I'm letting myself off with a warning and a slap on the wrist. So, okay. So, today I'm going to talk about my birth story. I just realized I have never talked about my birth story online or anything. So, I will start there. And I will keep looking up at the camera. Looking above the camera, because I just put my daughter down for a nap. And so hopefully I can get this video done without her waking up. But who knows? She's unpredictable. I found out that I was pregnant on April 1st, 2021. And I literally did not even consider that I was really pregnant. I don't even know. I have no idea why I decided to take a pregnancy test. So I just did, and it was positive. And I was and I wasn't late. I wasn't late for my period. I didn't have any symptoms. I didn't feel weird. Literally, I literally woke up in the morning, and I just was I don't know. I just feel like I should take one. And so I took one, and I was sitting on the toilet, and I took the test, and it takes a couple minutes. And well, actually, it was one of those little strips, so it wasn't a real. I guess it is a real test, but it's one of those little bitty strips that you can take. And I'm sitting on the toilet, and I I put it on the floor. I finished peeing. I wasn't even really thinking about it. And then immediately it had the line. And mind you, it had only been 2 weeks. It had to have been. And so, well, I guess it had to have been a month. No, it wasn't. It wasn't, because I found out April 1st and I conceived March 18th. So it was literally 2 weeks. So yeah. And I remember we had a pretty large bathroom. Our house is a ADA house, which is a disability house. So all the rooms, the bathroom and the bedrooms, are bigger to accommodate for wheelchairs. And so that was our bathroom. So it's pretty large. So I'm sitting on the toilet. My husband walks in the bathroom. He sits on the side of the tub, and he's just talking to me oh, da 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 da. And I'm just I couldn't even tell you what he said. I was just so stuck. I was my husband's about to be my baby's dad. And I literally, my mind just went blank. So I'm just sitting there not listening to him, just thinking we're about to have a baby, oh my gosh. And then I had to collect myself for a minute, and so I just went off by myself, and I just sat I don't know, maybe it was 10 minutes maybe or something. And then I was oh shit, I want to tell my mom. And I was okay, but I can't tell my mom before I tell my husband, because he's gonna be mad at me. And so I was okay, well, let me figure out how I want to tell him. And so I was just let me do something quick, simple. And so I made a little video, but it was 3 bags that I made, and I printed out a heart for each bag. And on the bag, well, the first bag, it said, the only thing better than you being my husband. And then the second bag was that our children will have you as their dad, and then the third bag was the pregnancy test, and then another little note that says I love you. And it was like printed and typed up and everything, so it was like, you know, really cute. And I had him open the bags on camera, and then yeah, we like immediately like embraced each other, and he cried a little bit and I cried a little bit, and yeah, it was really, you know, cute and heartfelt and everything. And after that, we was like, oh, we gotta tell our family. And we were like, kind of like, should we tell them? Because, you know, we just found out, we don't have like solid proof. Yeah, I mean, we knew, you know, when they go to the doctor, and I don't feel like that's any more official, but yeah. But it was April 1st, and so I was like, I kind of feel like we should, so that we can like prank everybody, kind of. And I told my family, like, we're all in a group chat, all my like siblings and my parents were in a group chat. And then his family, he told his family. His family believed him immediately, like, no question. They was like, oh, congratulations, I'm so happy for you, blah, blah, blah. Like, he called his mom at work, and he's like, Mom, like, guess what? And she's like, Bree's pregnant. Like, she knew off rip. And my family, my dad called me immediately and was like, oh, I knew it, this, that, and the other. I was like, okay. He's like, I did, like, because, so 2 weeks before, how I knew that the day that I conceived is because we went on spring break vacation in LA. And that's where my husband is from, Inglewood. So we were there the whole time, and we literally only had sex one time while we were there. And so I knew exactly when it happened. My sister and her children, my mom and my granny and my brother were all there in LA with us. Like, we all took the vacation together. And my sister had put me on FaceTime with my dad. And I guess that's my dad was saying, from like seeing me there, he was thinking like, she's pregnant. But had he really known that I was pregnant, I would have literally been like a day pregnant. So intuition, I guess so. And so then my dad called me immediately. He's like, I knew it, blah, blah, blah. And then I think my siblings told me, my brother told me congratulations. But then a little while later, my brother messaged again. It was like, no, you're not going to fool me. Like, it's April Fool's. And so then my dad called me back and was like, is it April Fool's joke? And I was like, no, it's not. You know, I didn't message back though, because I just, you know, that was the reason why we decided to tell them on that day. So it can kind of be a prank, like, is it a joke? Is it a not type thing? And to me, that meant my daughter was going to be funny, because she told us on April Fool's, like, which was like, you know, we've been married. Well, this is our 3rd year married, but we've been dating for we dated for 3 years before we got married. So it's like, you know, we just never got pregnant then. So it's like, gotcha, you know, like on April Fool's. So it was kind of funny to us as well. And so my dad's like, it's April Fool's joke. I was like, no, it's not. But I just kind of let it go run or whatever. And then my mom, she was like, oh, you should have waited. Because, you know, I guess, well, I mean, and sometimes people do want to wait until the 12 weeks because that kind of makes it official, because before that, any, you know, problems could arise and stuff. But for me, I just knew that this is it. My daughter is coming. And, well, actually, I thought it was going to be a boy. But I just knew, like, I had no doubt. So I was not concerned with waiting 12 weeks or whatever, or going to the doctor. I mean, waiting for the doctor to confirm. I wasn't like worried about any of that. And as soon as I found out I was pregnant, I knew that I wanted to have a home water birth. I did want it to be assisted by a midwife, but where I live, there are midwives, but there are not midwives of color. And that was really important to me, very important to me. And the only one that I could find was about 45 minutes away. And we did a phone interview, and it was like a process. Like, we had to send our insurance information to see if they would accept it, and then it had to get like either accepted or declined. And then if it got declined, then we would have to pay. It was I want to say $5,000 that it was, but like we had that, so I was just like, okay, there was some issue. Oh, I think it was like, it didn't like feel professional or something. Like, something was like giving me hesitation about like wanting to go with them, but at the same time they were the only ones of color like in the proximity. So we was like and we only waited like, I don't know, like 2 weeks to May. Not, I don't want to even say 3 weeks. Maybe it was like 2 weeks or so that we waited. And by the time we called back, then they weren't answering the phone. We emailed them, we messaged them on Instagram. They were not messaging us back, any of that. And so to me, it was just like, this was just a sign that this is just not it. Like, I didn't like that at all. Like, I just wasn't getting good vibes from just that experience. But like everything I saw online and all the reviews and da. And you know, knowing that they are the only women of color in the proximity, it was kind of like, you know, maybe they were just that busy. But at the same time, customer service is important and first impressions are important. And so, and that means a lot to me. So it is what it is. And so we didn't end up going with them. Then we tried to find a doula. We were looking for one that was of color as well, and or melanated as well. And we found one. But she did not accept ones that didn't have a midwife. She wasn't comfortable doing that, as I wasn't comfortable if she wasn't comfortable. And that's how most of them are. They don't want to do it on unassisted because a doula is not a medical professional. They are really there for like emotional support, and the midwife is the medical professional. And doula is more like certifications, and midwife, you actually have to go to school. And so I did understand that. So it wasn't like anything against her, but I liked her a lot and we had good conversation and everything. So it just didn't work out. So I was like, well, look, we better have a baby at the house. We're just gonna do it at the house. Like, and we got all the materials. We got a pool. We got like the hoses to put the water in the pool, like to have hot and cold water coming from the washer and dryer ports. We had like a heart rate monitor for me. We had, what was, like all the plastic tarp, towels, like a whole like home birthing kit of like gloves, like well, they sent the scissors to clip the umbilical cord, but we weren't even gonna use that. The peri bottle, like literally we had every single thing. Like if I had the baby, and I was ready. But as we started to get closer to the date, so this was my first pregnancy, my first birth. So I was going to regular appointments. So I didn't have a completely unassisted, because I didn't know, you know, if there's any concerns that I should be worried about. And so I went to every single one of my appointments. I didn't really care for the doctors there, honestly. And so that was like pushing me more towards home birthing. And the reason I didn't care for the doctors is because, so the second appointment that I ended up getting a yeast infection, and that, which is really common in pregnancy. Different things can happen because I've never experienced that before, so I didn't know what was going on. So I called them, I told them what was going on, and they're like, oh, you know, it's just normal, don't worry about it, it'll go away. I'm like, okay, you know. And then I called back and I'm like, I need to come in because like it's not going away. This ain't it. It's uncomfortable. I was so uncomfortable. Like I had hives all down my leg. I don't know if that was part of the yeast infection. I don't know. But I had hives on my leg, and then I itched. You know, TMI. But you know, this is what it is. It happens a lot because I wasn't like getting anywhere with the OBGYNs, and well, it was actually a midwife, so it was a rotation of 6 OBGYNs and then 1 midwife, I want to say. And then I wasn't like getting anything from them, so I joined a lot of groups, very helpful groups on Facebook. And no, I'm not saying that like they got the answers, but I'm gonna look at what other people have been through. These people are posting pictures. These people have had multiple children. These people are also OBGYNs and midwives or previous ones, or you know, just been through things like this, or labor and delivery nurses, you know, different professions that would have some type of, you know, information. So no, I'm not saying that they have my diagnosis, but I am gonna look through what people are saying. And so it was very, very helpful, honestly. And I ended up like telling them I need to come in and this something need to happen. So I went in and she said, well, I don't think so, but we can just test you to see. So she just took a little Q-tip and swabbed. She went out the room for like 5 minutes, came back in, was like, yeah, it's just a little bit of yeast, nothing too serious, not too bad. I'll just give you this, like, it was like 1 pill. No, it was 2 pills that I had to take. And it was like maybe a day apart or some hours apart. I don't even remember. It was, but I just know it was pills. And I'm like, if it literally only took you 5 minutes to check and like come back with that, then why didn't you do that in the first place? Like, that put a bad taste in my mouth, because now I feel like my feelings are not valid to you. And of course, they was all European, so that just didn't add to it. So this whole time I'm like, well, look, we birthing at home because I already don't like them. And but I'm like, if you doing this to me, and I'm not even, you know, I'm in my right mind, I'm not even in a labor, you know, delusion, then what, you know, what's gonna happen later on down the road? And so I had everything for the birth. Everything was literally perfect. I actually was considered high risk because I thought I had G6PD. I was diagnosed with G6PD in the military, but after further diagnosis or like checking, they said they didn't find anything with G6PD in me. So I don't know. And so, but once they put you high risk, then they won't put you low risk. So I stayed with the high risk. So I continued going to my appointments and stuff. And when I reached, was it 36? No, it was 30 at my 38-week appointment. The doctor there was saying like, how much water have you been drinking? And I'm like, you know, about 4 to 6 bottles a day. Like, I'm pretty regular on my water. And she's like, okay, well, there's no it's very little amniotic fluid. So they measure it by like 4 different pockets, like the sac, and then the baby, and then there's like, you know, pockets around the baby. So they measure it by the pockets around. And so she was saying there's normally 4 pockets, but with me, she was only seeing 1 pocket of fluid. And so she was saying, just make sure you're drinking a lot of water. And at this point, I'm having weekly appointments. And I was like thinking I'm just not going to go back. Like, I kept asking, like, at what point should I just not go back, like cancel my appointment and not go back? But I didn't know what. So I went back for my 39-week appointment, and she was like, so have you been drinking water? And I said, yeah. Like, I was tracking my water, and I was drinking 80 ounces of water every single day. I had 0 fluid. So she's like, you have to have your baby right now. And I was like, I looked at my husband, and he's looking at me, and I mean, you know, it is my choice. So I could have said no, but because they knew, like, I'm a crunchy mom is what they call it, which basically means like, I believe in holistic medicines and natural healing and stuff like that. So crunchy is like, oh, you make your own granola. That's pretty stupid to me, but anyways, that's what they call it. And so they were like, you know, you can say no, but I advise against it, blah, 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 blah. My highest priority was my daughter's well-being. So of course I said, okay, well, we've got to do this. Meanwhile, my mom and my grandmother and my sister were actually supposed to be coming to help me deliver the baby unassisted. And so I was just gonna have it in my living room, which is not illegal, which is legal. Having an unassisted pregnancy is legal in every single state. It is legal. No one can ever tell you that you cannot have your baby. They will look down on you. They will talk mess about you, but it is legal. And they were supposed to be coming to help me deliver my baby, but it didn't work out like that. And surprisingly, so my sister, you know, because if I was going to have a natural birth, her due date was December 9th. And my sister was like, you know, like, what if you don't have her on December 9th? So what day should I come? And I'm like, I don't know. You know, like, I know just what to do. I don't know. Like, it's my first baby. So she was like, I'm just going to use my intuition. And she picked December 4th to come. And I ended up having her on December 3rd. So literally, she just used her intuition to decide what date. And I called my mom when I was like in the appointment, I called her and she's like, hey, I'm like, mom. And she's like, what? And I'm like, it's time. And she's like, what? I'm like, it's time. And I'm crying because, you know, I'm just highly emotional. It's like, one, I want everything to be okay, but I never really thought that anything was not going to be okay. Like, yeah, I'm supposed to have fluid. Yeah, but I'm 39 weeks. So it's like, I'm here, you know, and I just believe in my body. I believe in my baby. I believe in our little connection, you know, that we got, that we had since day one. She told me to take this pregnancy test on April 1st. You know, that's just the energy that she gave. Like, and so my mom packed up the car, packed up my granny, hit the road. Literally 7-hour drive from where she lives to where I live. And she was on the road within a few hours. And we stayed on the phone the entire time. My husband and I were very ill prepared. We didn't have the car ready. We didn't have our bag packed. We didn't have the car seat in the car. We didn't have anything ready because in my mind, I'm like, I'm about to burn that home. So my husband had to leave me at the hospital to go and get this stuff, which he's quick. He's a fast driver. And he just walks fast. He does everything, but everything he does is just fast. So I'm in the hospital and I'm fine. I'm fine because I'm like, I know he wants to be here. He would never leave my side if he didn't have to. So I know whatever he's doing as quickly as he possibly can. And they had me like, they were giving me paperwork or whatever. And I kind of feel like they gave me the paperwork once he left. I don't know. Maybe it was just me. I feel like it was like, he's gone, let me just do this, whatever. And so when they gave me the paperwork, I read it all over. I, you know, marked it up and stuff because no, I'm not just gonna sign anything. And then I was like, okay, my husband, when he comes back, I'm gonna have him read over it because this is literally his job. He's an administrator, he's a supervisor. So, and he's been in there for 14 years now. So this is his job. And so I was like, I'm gonna wait for my husband to come back to sign it, you know, but I'm asking them questions, getting like clarification so that when he does come back and goes over it, anything that he has questions on, like maybe I've already asked the question, or I can just like give him the rundown type of thing. So they had on there that they get to retain, what is it? They said, it didn't say placenta. It was like retain bodily tissue or something. It said something weird. I'm like, what is that? And they was like, oh, that's the placenta. And I was like, no, because that wasn't my birth plan, which I will get to that as well. And what else did they have? Oh, geez. She's moving. Let me see if I can put her back to sleep. As you can see, it didn't work out. I'm in there laying like, she's just looking at me. And she started talking and stuff. So here we are. Okay. What was I saying? The paperwork. So I did not sign any paperwork until my husband got back and was able to look over everything. And I was scratching out stuff, and I gave them my birth plan. So my birth plan was from someone on Instagram. Her Instagram name is @SacredBirthDoula, and it was really good. The birth plan was like really good. It's a legal document, so that part was really important. Like, you actually get it notarized and you serve it to them by just handing it to them. You say their name and you're recording it as you're giving it to them, so that, you know, it just makes it official. And so we did that. It was 15 pages, so they were like shook. They were shook because they were like, we never got anything like this. They felt like they were being served, but really it was just basic stuff. It was like not super hard to read or anything like that. So we had gotten that just in case, which I guess was our intuition, because it was $150, so it wasn't a cheap just in case. But I'm really glad that we did. And it took a few days attempts to like get it notarized, just how everything was lining up. So I'm really glad that we got it and just in advance type of thing. And especially we ended up having her a week early, so there was that as well. And basically it outlined my rights, not necessarily what I individually wanted, but just what I have the right to do or to say concerning my labor and delivery. So, for example, not wearing masks, not getting COVID tested, not having to cut the umbilical cord, being able to do skin to skin, not having to get a birth certificate, being able to have a natural delivery, no like vitamin K, vaccinations, eye ointments, or anything like that. There were definitely more, but like those were like the main things. And I mean, obviously I was getting induced, and so that's why, I mean, it was like not like specifically to me, but it was like, these are my rights. So unless there's a reason why I need to get induced, I'm not just gonna let you induce me. If there's not a reason to get a C-section, I'm not just gonna get a C-section because you want me to. And sometimes they will say that, one, it costs more to have a C-section because it's a procedure, it's a surgery. And so, and that's what the OBGYN really is a surgeon. Like they're delivering babies, but that's the difference between that and a midwife. They're not able to do those type, like a C-section, or, you know, go that far. And so, it was just really important to me that they knew where I stood, even though I wasn't like enforcing every single one of those. So, I was obviously getting induced, which was mine and my husband's decision. So that wasn't one of the issues. It was mostly like the vitamin K, the eye ointment, the shots. I guess that's kind of all. Oh, leaving after 24 hours. And so like when you go on her page, there's a lot of people saying like, oh, like, I'm so glad I had your birth plan, this, that, and the other, but nobody says like what it says. And so it's like, you know, like when I messaged her, I literally said I would like to inquire about it. And then she's like, it's $150. You send it to this PayPal. Send me a receipt that you sent it. Da, 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 da. And I'm like, I don't even know what I'm paying for. But I'm just, you know, and so at first I didn't. Like, it took me quite a while to like, because I was like, this don't make no sense. Like, I don't know what I'm paying for. But after like more research, I'm like, I don't, you know. And so I'm just reading her. I went literally through like a lot of her posts. I can't say all, but a lot of her posts. And I was just like, okay, well, look, God got me. So I went ahead and purchased it, and I'm really, really glad I did. But that's what it is. It's specific to each state. So for me, it's Illinois. For, you know, whatever state that you're in, she can do it for that specific state. And it basically has like your rights as, you know, like it's, recording. We were able to record our birth, which before when I asked them, then they said that it's that you're not able to record in that hospital, this, that, and the other. But once we gave the birth plan that had that in there, then they didn't even like try to tell us not to. Okay, so the birth plan is like from your state, and then from the Constitution, United States Constitution, and then from like the OBGYN, midwife, like rules or manual. So it's like it's pulling things from all three of those, saying like, okay, this, you know, like I have the right to record myself and my body, and then I got that information from, you know, wherever, and then it would literally, you know, like pretty much copying and pasting it from one of those three sites: the state constitution, the United States Constitution, and then the OBGYN midwife rules manual. And so, and like some of the stuff, like I went to go look up, I was like, okay, you know, like, I mean, I trust her. I mean, I don't know her, so I didn't like trust her like that. But, you know, all these people are saying like how much it's helping this, that, and the other. So I trusted it. But I have a paralegal degree, so I know I have the tools to go look this stuff up. And so I just used it to just go look it up. And it was just very helpful. Like, I definitely recommend getting it if you're ever in that situation. They did try to give me a hard time on the birth certificate. So at first they were saying, like, because I said, I asked them about a birth certificate, like before that day came, because they were asking me like what type of things are in my plan. And so I did tell them that one thing, because I didn't want to get in the hospital, deliver the baby, and then them try to threaten me and tell me that I can't leave without signing the birth certificate. And so I asked them about that beforehand, and like before that day's appointment and at that day's appointment. And then I was on a completely different floor for labor and delivery than my regular appointments, and I asked them as well. So I'm asking everybody, and they're like, I don't think that you can leave the hospital without it, yada yada yada. And at that, or right before that, I was actually working in a family law office, and so I had told the attorney that, and he was saying like, you definitely can, this, that, and the other. So he was like, if you need to call me, call me. And so I was like, I sure will. So when they told me that I couldn't leave, mind you, I hadn't started getting induced yet. So when they told me that I couldn't leave without signing a birth certificate, I said, is that from you all, or is that from the state of Illinois? And they said, I think that's from the state of Illinois. I said, okay, well, give me a moment, because my attorney let me know that told me if I need to call him, then do so. And they said, oh, well, hold on, let me go check. Yeah, go check. So they went and actually at that point emailed the state of Illinois asking them, if the mother refuses to sign the birth certificate, then like, what do we do? And they emailed back saying, use whatever information you have up until this point, and then just submit that, and whatever information that you can get, basically. And they printed the email off and they gave it to me, and it shows that they emailed them when I asked them this, like when I was waiting to be put in a room to go into delivery. So that was like annoying, but that's why I'm like, I just I don't want to have to worry about if I can trust you. I'm already in a highly stressful situation, and my husband's not here, my mom is not here. Like, I'm already in a highly stressful situation, and then I gotta worry about you lying to me. Like, I just don't have the time or the energy. And so, but look, I'm her advocate, so I gotta do what I gotta do. And they were kind of like pushing me to like sign the paperwork before my husband got back, and I'm like, look, I said what I said. When my husband get back and look over this, and they're like, well, do you know when he'll be back? I said, he's going to do what he needs to do, and I know he wants to be here, so I'm sure he's coming back as quickly as he possibly can. So then I gave her that the paperwork that I had signed, as well as the birth plan at the same time, because that's one of the things that he was going to get. She had an attitude. I did not like her. She had an attitude. She's like, so, because one of the other things on there is that I don't have to get an epidural. She's like, so you don't want an epidural? And I'm like, no. And she's like, so what have you done to plan for to not get an epidural? And I was like, just mindful breathing, meditation, like, because really, what else can I do? And she's like, oh, I don't know how you're gonna survive. This is your first birth and you don't want to get an epidural. Like, she just had a really bad attitude. Oh, and standing up while birthing, that was another thing that was in the birth plan, is that I have the choice to birth in the position of my choice. And so I told them that I don't want to birth laying down, and they were like, well, if you stand up you could pass out, this, that, and the other. I'm like, I didn't say I was gonna stand up. Like, I don't know, maybe, but you know what I'm saying. But it was just that they were putting so much doubt into my plan. Well, not really. They were trying to put doubt into my plan, but I have a very sound mind, and my husband was with me. I'm on the phone with my mom. She's listening the entire time. I got goodwill. Like, I wasn't playing. So and what sucked was that she was actually the one single melanated OBGYN that they had. Literally the only single one. So I was actually excited to have her, which I only had one appointment with her my entire pregnancy. So, and from that one appointment, no, two. So the first time I did not like her at all. But then the second time, she was actually cool. I was like, okay. And the second time she was the one that said that I had very low fluid. And so the next week she was like, okay, you need to go have a baby. So I had very little interaction with her, and I was just like, wow. But then the midwife, she was actually really, really chill, down to earth. She just came in and she said, okay, so, you freaking everybody out with this birth plan. So I'm just going to ask you straight up, like, what is it that you are interested in? Or like, and I told her very simply, like, I don't want to make anybody's job hard, but I have to advocate for myself and my baby. So I just said, what I want is as least intervention as possible. That's really what I want. The least amount of, I was like, I know I'm getting induced at this point. I'm fine with that, what needs to be done, but I just want as little intervention as possible. And my husband catching the baby was another thing. that I wanted. And so she was fine with all of that, which was really cool, really cool, really cool. We did get to record the entire thing, and in the video you see they just sat back and let me do my thing. And I was really appreciative of that. My mom got there that night around like 10 o'clock or so, and there was actually only supposed to be one person beside my husband in the room, which was supposed to be my mom, but my granny snuck in to see me. And then the next day, then they went and stayed at my house, and then the next day, then I had her come up there because I was like in so much pain. So the next day is when I started getting induced, and so it was like this little pill, which I looked it up, and it actually is like a pill for abortion, which is crazy. But it was this little pill that they stick up inside you, and it basically starts that process of like ejecting the baby. And they were saying like, oh, we might have to like do this multiple times, but they said they can only do it 4 times. After 4 times, they will have to do something else. And so I was like, you have to, or you just recommend? And they're like, well, we recommend. But they only ended up having to do it twice. My total labor time was 18 hours. And the pain was just so bad that I called my mom up there. And actually, the pill was put the day that my mom came, because she got delivered the next day. So yeah, I was already having contractions, but they were just really light, so it really was just whatever. But I had a monitor on my stomach to record the contractions and her heart rate, so that's how I knew I was having contractions. And at night, so I was there from 8 a.m. the day of my appointment, which was a Thursday. 8 a.m. was my appointment time, and then within 15 minutes of my appointment, I was taken down to my labor delivery room, and from then they put the one pill in me, and they waited a while, and then that night they put another pill in me. And then once I went to sleep, I woke up, and that's when I was really having like for real contractions. I got up about 50 times that night, and my husband was literally up with me every single time. Like, he slept on this little bitty couch. I know he was uncomfortable, and every single time I got up, I had to take the 2 monitors off my stomach. I had to take my IV cord, like, disconnected from the computer, take the whole IV roller with me to the bathroom to use the restroom. So every single time I got up, I wouldn't even tell him to get up because I didn't want to wake him up. He would just pop up by himself, and he was just right there, you know, with me the entire time. Very, very supportive. I couldn't have asked for a better partner, like, literally. And I started having really bad contractions that night. So the next day I called my mom. She came up there and just helping me through. Really, I mean, what could you do, you know? And so she's just recording like bits and pieces. The OBG, or she was actually a midwife, the one that delivered. She was a midwife, and she showed my husband a few ways to help ease the pain, and it really, really helped. Oh my goodness. It was literally, he's just like squeezing my hips up together and up, together and up, like doing that to my back, and it helped so much. And I did not birth laying down. I said I wanted to squat. I wanted to get up. And so I was like on both of my knees at first, and they put this bar over my bed, and I'm holding the bar, and I'm just up on my knees. And then I'm pushing. Okay, let me back up just a little bit. So I'm laying in bed, and I ended up having 2 sacks. So my water broke. I thought my water broke, and they was like, your water broke, blah blah blah. So, you know, like, let me check you. But I was only like 7 centimeters dilated, so I'm still just like chilling. And then all of a sudden I feel another, like, more like wetness. But they were like, okay, that's not your water because it already broke. And so I'm just still like chilling. And then they ended up like checking something, and they were like, and it feels like your water is still in there. So, like, that means you had 2 sacks. And so they had to, like, break it. At this point, they were trying to ask me about breaking it. I'm like, go ask my mom, because I'm in way too much pain to talk to you. I didn't cuss literally the entire time. I like to cuss. Like, you know, I don't cuss when I'm mad. I cuss, like, just whenever, you know. And so I did not cuss, like, the entire time. But at this point, I'm like, don't be asking me about this stuff. Like, go talk. That's why I have my husband and my mother here. Go ask them. And so my mom said, yeah. She like, get my baby out this pain. So they broke it, and then my body just started to like push. So I'm literally like, but it's like my whole body. And so like the nurse comes in just to like check some stuff, not with me, but like with the system that I was plugged up with. And I'm like, is this normal? Like my body, you know, is like pushing or whatever. And she's like, yeah, it's fine. And I'm like this. And then it happened, and she's like, oh, well, let me check. I was 9.5 dilated, and she's like, oh, it's time. And I'm like, it's time. And I'm like in and out of it. But my mom had just left to go to the store to get a container to put the placenta in. So she gone, and I'm like, oh my goodness, this is not the right time. And she can get lost in the store for real. So I called her. I'm like, you need to come back right now. Like, it's happening right now. So she hurry up and come back. I'm 10 centimeters dilated. I'm like up on all fours in the bed, and that's when they put that piece over my bed. And so I'm like leaning up on that. I'm just in pain. I didn't push though. I never pushed. My body was pushing the entire time, which was just involuntary, which is, what's it called? It's fetal ejection reflex, I think. Excuse me. But it's basically your body's pushing. So your body will do its job. Your body knows what to do. Your body knows how to deliver a baby. Literally, that's what our bodies are. Our bodies are made to do everything that it does. So all like the inductions and the interventions are not necessary because we are innately know what to do. So my body's pushing, and my mom is recording. She's literally like right there. So when it starts to get time, like her head kind of started to crown. They call it the ring of fire, when it's like basically her head is just right there. So it hurts. Like it's like that's where when you would tear basically. But I didn't tear either. And my husband and the midwife are right there together. She's like showing him, you know, what to do, like how to catch her and stuff like that. My mom is just like, oh, recording, like in between them and recording my face. I'm just like, Mom. And she's like, I know, baby. Like, that's what it says, like on camera. I'm like, Mom. And then my sister, my mom FaceTime my sister. So my sister is watching as well. So it was just so much going on. It was a beautiful experience. And then I remember I'm pushing, and her head was like coming out, but I felt like I wasn't pushing, but my body. So like my body pushed her, a little bit of her head came out, and then the midwife is like, Bria, do you want to feel? And so I reached my hand down and feel, and it was just like gooey feeling and soft. I was like, this ain't the time, because look, I'm already disgusted with everything that's going on. I'm in pain. You know, it's just too many emotions. Now's not the time to be feeling this, because this ain't what I thought. Okay, it's not what I thought. And my husband laughs about it like to this day. And so I was like, I don't want to feel it. Let's just get her out of there. And so it was maybe about 6 more, like from when I was like up on my knees, about 6 pushes. And she came out, and my husband caught her, but the midwife was there to help, because he was like, she was really slippery, and if the midwife was not there to help, he might have dropped her. So that would have been a whole nother thing. And yeah, we didn't get any vitamin K. She immediately like he, you know, kind of caught her. The midwife was like her hands were under him, and then she handed her to me. So I put her on my chest. She peed on me the second that she was out. And then my placenta came out, I don't know, maybe like 5 minutes later. Like it wasn't much longer, and I was just sitting on the bed, and my placenta came out, and then we put it in the container. And they gave me a hard time about keeping the placenta, but placenta is my property. Like, that's just like my baby. It's my property. And they were trying to say, like, oh, well, if there's something wrong with it. Why would there be something wrong with it? Y'all just trying to come up with something. And my mom ended up, like, you know, taking it home. And then later on that night, they said, oh, if you still have the placenta, we want to take a piece of it. First of all, no, because I already said no, but it's at home. So there's that too. And They did her hearing test, which she passed. They pricked her heel, and she cried so much, and I felt bad. But that was like a mandatory. It says it's mandatory, but I looked up the statute for it, Illinois statute for a newborn assessment, and you can write basically that you want to opt out of it type thing. We had skin to skin. She latched immediately, and she slept on me that whole first night. Yeah, you remember that? You remember when we met? When you first met Mommy and we got to sleep together? Yeah. She just cuddled up on me. And they came in several times, and I didn't sleep much because I'm just like, oh my gosh, like I'm a mom. I have this little bitty baby. She was 5 pounds. She was born under a full moon and an eclipse. So that was crazy. And that just, told me about who she got to be, for real. And then we wanted to leave after 24 hours, so that was like one of the big things. But they were saying like she had to pass her hearing test before she left, which was really annoying because I don't know. I feel like because we were like so adamant about leaving after 24 hours, they were like trying to take their time type of thing. The hearing test did take a little while. It took like maybe 30 minutes or so. But so it was like shortly after 24 hours, but yeah. And we just went home. And my mom and my granny and my sister were here, so we were surrounded by good company, and everybody, of course, wanted to hold her, and and I'm like, I love my baby, but the second day I was like, we haven't slept. Like, we were pretty much up the entire time that we were at the hospital, so it's like we didn't get much sleep. We were tired. She's crying, it was just because we had her swaddled. She didn't like to be swaddled. We was putting her in her bassinet. She didn't want to be in her bassinet, but I don't blame her either, because I'm like, this is your first day in the world, and they expect you to be separated from me. And so, they really push safe sleep, and to some people that's really important, and her safety is important, but at the same time, I just don't feel like it's natural to separate yourself from your baby. And I've been looking up like what is wrong with co-sleeping beside possible suffocation, but most cases of suffocation with co-sleeping also has alcohol or drugs involved. And I mean, at this point it's whatever, but like even before, I never felt like like it was an issue, like I had to be concerned. So really, I'm like, it is what it is. We here now, and we've been co-sleeping this whole time, and she loves it and I love it. And she breastfeeds at night, and she takes bottles during the day, but that's because we just recently found out she has a lip tie, so we have an appointment for her to get that checked out and lasered, because I did some research and it said lip ties can have a lot of long-term effects, like migraines, toe walking, like walking on your toes instead of like just your full foot, of course having a gap between your teeth, because it's like literally her lip is tied to the top of her gum, so I can't pull it very far. So I mean, and it's kind of thick too, so when you pull it back and her teeth come through, she will probably have a gap if I were to wait, but I'm not waiting. Like her appointment should be this week. And yeah, we're happy, we're healthy, and we just got weighed, and we're 15 pounds and 10 ounces, and she's 6.5 months old, and she's happy, and she's laughing, and she likes Gracie's corner, and she likes to play with her daddy, and a lot of times she'll fall asleep with him and then come with me in the middle of the night. Yeah. And she likes playing with cousins. We've been home a lot. Yeah. Sorry, y'all, had a cough attack. But yeah, we've been home several times, and she loves playing with her cousins, and she stayed the night at Auntie Camille's house for 2 nights in a row. And she advances so much when she's around the big kids. And I feel like she wants to start walking before she can crawl. Like, she can crawl. We've seen her consecutively crawl a few times, but it's like she'll crawl and then stop and then try to stand up, but then she can't quite get her balance yet, and so then she'll get frustrated and start whining. And then I don't enable her, so I just will go sit near her, but then she will use my legs to stand up, and basically she want me to walk her around, and I'm like, no, girl, you gonna walk yourself around. So I'll take her hands and I'll be walking her. We took a bath, huh? Yeah, we took a bath, and I made her walk to the tub. Yes, I did, and she liked it. So she might want to be a baby that walks before she crawls, which, you know, it is what it is. But yes, say bye. That's it. That's all we have. Say see you tomorrow on our YouTube channel if I get to take a nap. Yes. Peace. I have a little something for you. Pause it real quick. There you go. What does it say?
No. The only thing better than having you as my husband. Will be your children having you as your their dad. What? Really? Really, really? Wow. So when did you find out?
Literally just right now.
What?
I took literally every single kind that we had.
Wow. That's crazy. Wow. Well, I'm touching the thing.
You've touched my feet before.
Wow. We gotta let everybody know. That's crazy, man.
Yeah.
Can you make your appointment and everything?
Just kidding. It's April Fool's.
Are you being serious?
Today's April Fool's. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. It's real.
Is it real or is it April Fool's?
No, it's real.